My name is Malo. I'm from Nigeria. I work as the Senior Technical Advisor to the Minister of Power in Nigeria and have been in that role for the past 2 years at least. And prior to that, I was with the Minister of Finance and Economy in Nigeria. The new face of Africa. Young, vibrant, innovative, colorful, very much aware of your surroundings, intelligent. That's the new face of Africa that exists now. And I'm hoping that that face gets portrayed even more and more in our media, in our society, and even in our conversations. I think what the Tutu Fellowship did for me was it made me a bit more introspective about how I was viewed by others. Prior to coming back in Nigeria to work in government, I'd lived in the US for about close to 15 years. So I was very US-centric in both my behavior and in my approach. And that can be a very, very individualistic approach to everything that you do. And so coming back to Africa and seeing that relationships and connections matter, but not even knowing how to take advantage of those relationships and connections and just being very results-driven without even looking back to see how those things that I'm doing are affecting people's lives was quite a challenge for me. So I think when I was in the Tutu Fellowship and then connecting with people that came from very diverse backgrounds. To give you an example, one of my closest friends in the Tutu Fellowship is Benson, who comes from the DRC and who's running a huge camp there, and who in the course of the fellowship was telling us stories about his life that I could not relate with. I thought that was so powerful, and it made me realize that what I do in Nigeria, or even what I did in the US, affects people in the DRC, or in Kenya, or in Nigeria, or in my village. So it's just that whole connectedness and being aware of how my actions affect others, and that's, I think, the power of the fellowship. There are two key challenges I see. One of them is the perception of inexperience and youth that the establishment across Africa sees as being a negative in terms of, effecting change in Africa. The other thing I see is also a barrier when it comes to giving young people a voice in government. So there isn't a lot of inclusion when it comes to government. There are lots of barriers to young people voting, and there are lots of barriers to them being participants to elective offices. And if we can begin to address two of those things, you see more and more young emerging leaders taking an active part in the future of their countries. One major advice I'll give to African youths is just keep at it. They're doing a lot of great things already. And I think they just need to continue to sustain it in ways they can, build networks and collaborations, and look for ways that they can impact people's lives. That way, all of the other success stories will follow.